This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine, Godfrey. He's the butler at the other mansion on Snob Hill. Miss Emily, returning for a weekend holiday, brought with her torn blue jeans, chewing gum, and a young man. Yes, correct, a young man. I understand Madam, that would be Emily's mother, was obliged to take to her room, feeling faint and disoriented. Emily's father called his physician to have his blood pressure checked, fearing an impending apoplectic fit. You see, the young man, named Charles, had absolutely no pedigree at all, and he was quite aware of the consternation he had wrought upon the folks on Snob Hill. Graciously, he offered to leave, but Miss Emily insisted he stay, fully convinced Charles could fit right in, if he really tried. So the chap placed a phone call to inform his parents of his plans. They were not home, so he left a message on their answer machine. If his parents had been at home, Charles would have been spared the most embarrassing experience of his young life. Well, this Charles fellow was quite infatuated with Miss Emily. He would do just about anything to impress her parents. And Miss Emily was determined to have the young man overcome the objections of her family. Unbeknownst to her parents, she slipped into their quarters and took one of her father's dinner jackets, and Charles did look quite presentable, except his fly was open. As they all entered the dining room, Godfrey stood his post by the door, and upon spying the young unzipper, he attempted to signal the young man. He raised an eyebrow and lowered his eyes. Charles assumed Godfrey was being friendly, so he wiggled his eyebrows, thinking he was returning the greeting. The dinner chat seemed to move along without any major disturbance. Charles was questioned about his future, which had something to do with saving rainforests and so on. He was asked about his family and its lineage. His story had something to do with his ancestors coming to the country on a freight boat, working hard, other things with which Miss Emily's family was not familiar. Godfrey was impressed with the young man's spunk and fortitude, enduring the questioning and never faltering. So Godfrey, simply trying to be helpful, mind you, seized an opportunity to tell Charles about the zipper problem while he was dispensing the soup. He leaned over, wielding the ladle and tureen in a most professional manner, yet able to whisper in Charles's ear, "Your fly, sir, is open." And with the most subtle of moves, Charles managed to zip out his fly without anyone at the table noticing. And as the meal wound down to its conclusion and the creme brulee was being served by cook, Godfrey informed Charles he had a phone call. His mother, having received his message, was on the line. Charles excused himself, rose from the table, and started toward the dining room doors, taking the tablecloth with him, and with the tablecloth all the china, silverware, and crystal, not to mention the creme brulee. The young man, much to his chagrin, had caught the tablecloth in his zipper. Creme brulee here, creme brulee there, creme brulee everywhere. That was a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. And Charles has never returned to Snob Hill, even though all his pants these days have a button fly.